Hi everyone, Dr. Byrne here again for another episode of Revive TV. Last week we talked about how to build a healthy self-esteem. We started with part one, where we discussed the first three pillars of this subject. We've had our best response in terms of people watching it. It's obviously hitting a nerve, hitting a sweet spot for a lot of you. So I'm looking really forward to sharing the last three pillars of how to build a healthy self-esteem. Let's get into it. Okay, so moving forward into the next three pillars. Before I do, and the fact that we've had such a great response in the viewership of last week's episode, what I would like you to do, if this is hitting a nerve with you, if it's striking a chord with you, then it's probably striking a chord with someone else you know. I think this is one of the greatest areas, or is the greatest area where for people to improve in terms of their health, is in the mental headspace. Giving them strategies towards moving towards feeling better about themselves and moving out of some say, anxiety issues into feeling more comfortable with self. So, if that's the case, please share this. The other thing is this: we have an event at the end of the month, and there'll be a link at the bottom that I'll share with you at the end of this video, called Inspired Thinking, where we'll dive a lot deeper into this subject and some others as well. So I'd encourage you to check that out and bring a friend, come along yourself, and make the changes that you wish to make. So this week, the first pillar, building on from last week, is the fourth pillar is the practice of self-assertiveness. Okay, so before you can be assertive, or people who are assertive have a few things in common. The first is that they're very grounded in whatever it is they believe in. What do I mean by grounded? I mean that they've thought about the reason they hold that view. It's an explored belief as opposed to an unexplored belief. We all have unexplored beliefs, things that have been passed on to us from our mother and father, our teachers, or people in authority, that we have taken them at their word, and we have just lived that out as we've got older, through our teenage years and then into our adult years. At some point in time, though, we need to actually stop and go, is that belief my belief? People who are assertive have done that. So they are grounded in what they believe, and they have a basis for why they believe it. They're also 100% unapologetic for the views that they hold. They're able to do that quite easily because they are grounded in the belief. If anyone opposes it, they have enough background data or experience to go, okay, you can hold that view, but I'm not wavering on my view. They're 100% authentic, meaning that what they say, their actions mirror that by what they do. So people might not always like your view, they might not always agree with you and can walk off in a huff. But people, if you live with assertiveness and live with actions that are congruent with what you're saying, you will earn people's respect, because they know that what you say you mean, and they know that your actions are going to be in line with what you say. So one of the examples that I'd like to bring up about being assertive is, and this is something I've certainly experienced, especially when I was younger, is peer group pressure. And it might be around, let's say, for example, around drinking alcohol. So if you've ever decided to stop drinking, or you don't want to drink at all anymore, or you've decided, like a lot of us have it, I'm doing it currently, where you're abstaining from drinking for the time being, there's going to be there can be peer group pressure. As an adult, I don't find it too hard, but sometimes as a younger person, it's challenging. So people will be going, oh, come on, just have one, you're boring, or you might as well not come out if you're not partaking in what everyone else is doing. Really what they're saying is, you're making me feel awkward because you're doing something that's, maybe I'd like to do, or I don't have the courage to do. But if you're authentic, if you're authentic to what you believe and you're assertive, people will end up respecting that. So kudos to you for doing that. The amount of people I know that when you hear people who abstain from things that they know are better for their health, you go, oh, great effort. I'd love to have that. I'd love to be able to do that. So people who are being assertive earn respect. Assertiveness, though, is not to be socially unaware. You don't want to be pushy. You don't want to ram down people's throats or convert people. You wouldn't want to go around, for example, using the drinking thing, saying, "Oh, you shouldn't be drinking. It's bad for your liver. You should do this." People just, that's being pushy, not being assertive. Assertive is basically being self-assertive, saying, "I'm comfortable with where I am." So the fourth pillar of building healthy self-esteem is the practice of self-assertiveness. The fifth practice is the practice of living purposefully. So I want you to imagine this. There are people that we've all listened to, either whether that's through, say, reading a book, listening to podcasts, watching television shows, attending seminars, where the person speaking inspires us. We are drawn to them, and they inspire us to be better versions of ourselves. Now, of all the people that have inspired me, there's one thing that they have in common. There's probably lots of things, but there's one thing that stands out to my mind that they have in common, whether that's from people in business, or whether that's sports people, whether that's people in politics, government leaders, entertainment, whatever it is, the person who has inspired me has had a vision and a purpose greater than themselves. They've had a vision and a purpose greater than themselves. Let's give another example. You might meet an entrepreneur who's got a product or a service that they believe is going to help their community, state, whatever. We all might know someone who's like this. And they get up every day and they've got this purpose and this vision, and they go about their business. And when you speak to them, do they feel like they have good self-worth, good self-esteem, or poor? Or maybe speak to someone who is working for someone else, who really is just doing that job because it gives them money to exist. Which person, and I'm not criticizing the person who does that, we're talking about self-esteem here. But if you're talking to the person who has the vision and they're trying to build something, and someone who's just doing something to exist, which person has the greater self-esteem? Clearly the person who's on purpose. And your purpose doesn't have to be global. It doesn't have to be saving the world. It could be the purpose within your family. It could be that you just want to be the greatest father or mother for your children you can possibly be. Provide them the opportunities perhaps that you didn't have, to make sure they've got home-cooked meals every night. It could be that you have a community goal. Mine's a community goal. I want to make my community healthier. I want them to know that where they see no hope, that there is hope. Other people have regional, statewide, nationwide visions. Some have global visions. But they've got a purpose and they're moving towards that. Those people have greater self-esteem. And when you are doing actions that are moving you towards your purpose, you will have even greater control and better sense of self. So the fifth pillar of self-esteem is the practice of living purposefully. So we come to our sixth and final pillar. And this pillar is the practice of personal integrity. I said personal integrity, not someone else's integrity. So in life, we have a whole range of rules, laws that we must live by, or don't have to. We choose to live by because there are consequences. And if you're anything like me, you've broken some of those rules. It might be that you're supposed to stand in line at a concert and you dodged the line and jumped up because you were trying to catch up with a mate or just get in. It might be that you crossed the road, jaywalked. That's something we've all done. But some of those rules don't eat away at our personal integrity. They just happen and they don't affect us. But the rules that do affect us are the ones that we make for ourselves, whether it's said out loud, but we've certainly said inside our head. So anything that you stand for and you go against, that affects your personal integrity. And you start to hear the little voice inside saying, you're not so good. And if you keep doing it, it starts to say, you're worthless, you're worthless, you're worthless, over and over again. So the practice of personal integrity is listening to the little voice and acting upon it, even though it can be really challenging at times. For me personally, when I voice it, when I declare it to the world, it has some more grounding, and I don't know if it makes me more accountable, but it certainly means that I probably hold myself to better personal account when I've actually said it out loud to someone. Okay, but we can actually do it internally. We don't have to say everything out loud, but it can be done personally. So I'm going to finish with these two sayings that I love around this concept of the practice of personal integrity. The first one is, I'd rather have the whole world against me than my own mind. And the second one is, when the voice and the vision on the inside is greater and louder than all the noise and all the distractions on the outside, you have mastered your life. I think these two quotes, and this last one in particular, is where great self-esteem comes from, great self-confidence comes from, where you will listen to what you say and do what it says. I really hope you've enjoyed this episode, a part 2 of how to build a healthy self-esteem. I love bringing this content to you. It's my favourite subject outside of chiropractic. As I said at the start, there is a link down below where you can register for our Inspired Thinking workshop Thursday the 24th of April. It's in the practice from 7 o'clock. You go there, hit the link, and there'll be some little prompts, little banner, red banner, that'll allow you to click on and actually put your details in and register for that event where we'll dive in deeper. I really appreciate you, if you've got to the end watching all of this. I would love for you to share this content, because I believe this is where the greatest gain can be had for people in our community, those people who don't see hope where there is hope. So thank you for watching, thank you for sharing, and I will see you next week for another episode of Revive TV.